I'm Ginny Just.
And I'm Beth Soboloff, and we're
Two Grannies on the Road.
Welcome back to Two Grannies on the Road. Today we have Laura Willis with us. Laura is a brand positioning expert and strategist who has created award-winning web and print communications to help local, national, and global companies stand apart from their competition. Laura has over 25 years of experience working in advertising agencies representing mid to large corporations in the greater Boston area. Laura, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, good. Laura, how has your career changed and evolved over the years?
So as Beth said, I've been in advertising agencies in the corporate environment for a number of years, and as part of a downsizing, I had the opportunity to look at what was I going to do next. And at that time, I was faced with several challenges around caregiving, family caregiving, and those kinds of issues, which I'm sure many baby boomers have had, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to try to stay on my own. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do at that point. I didn't know if I wanted to go back to advertising agencies or stay in the corporate world, and I was freelancing at the time, so I thought after things settled down with my family members, why not try staying on my own and see what happens. So I started in doing my own graphic design work and freelancing, and things seemed to be going pretty well, and then sort of the perfect storm hit in what I call 2008, 2009, when the economy kind of went down, and I had a close aunt who was like a second mom to me. My mother had passed previously. She passed away, and it started a whole sort of roller coaster of a generation passing. And so in between there was caregiving, people passing, things like that. And so when that sort of all also calmed down, it culminated in my dad passing in 2011. And as I was writing his eulogy, I mean, sometimes people feel like that's sort of a sad thing, but I was looking at all of the positive things in his life, and it struck me. It was like, it was my aha moment, you know, what do I want to have somebody write about me when I'm no longer on the planet? And if I'm not living it now, what do I need to do to change things to live it now? So that was an opportunity for me to look at, you know, am I really loving this graphic design business direction? I was a little disheartened by what was happening in the industry as far as, you know, people being able to get a logo for $100 or, you know, things that I really couldn't compete with. And also realized that I love to teach. So I was trying to put things together and see how I could evolve my business to incorporate all of those things. And I still love doing design, so I still have some design clients. But that's kind of how things have evolved.
What challenges have you had with reinventing yourself? You made a turnaround in your business, and that's not always an easy thing to do.
Right. I think the biggest challenge, even when I was in that sort of transitional phase, was, even after I had the aha moment, was really questioning myself, like, what can I do? Do I want to do something completely different? I don't really know anything else. You know, it was all of those emotional questions that came up. Am I too old to start something new? I mean, at that point, I had turned 50. I'm 57, just had a birthday, 57 now. And so it was really those emotional challenges that I think a lot of people face, whether they're empty nesters or having those elders pass away, and being faced with, you know, what is next, and questioning all those things. You know, I didn't know if I had the confidence to go out and do something new. And what I realized was, as I was doing that inner soul searching, that some of the stuff that I've been doing for years, like in brand development, is something that I could be teaching others, and that it actually also helps people to identify what they want to do if they're still in that transitional phase. So a lot of the elements of the strategy processes that I've been using over the years can now be used not only to help people that are in that transitional phase, but also help small business owners who are trying to figure out marketing and how to face the marketing challenge today.
Mm-hmm.
So what prompted you to go in the current direction that you're in?
Well, I was doing some work with two colleagues, and we were trying to start up a division of my former business, and we were looking at how do we help other companies market to the baby boomers. And we felt, the three of us are baby boomers, we're sort of at different ends of the spectrum. If people, I'm sure they're watching your show, know it's between people born between 1946 and 64. And so we felt that, and statistics were showing, that people were not resonating with the advertising and marketing that was going on out there. So we started to do a lot of research around that. We were looking at statistics, we were looking at marketing trends, we were looking at what was resonating with boomers. Baby boomers are still the largest spending capital in the United States. And so what came out of that research also was that baby boomers are the largest segment starting businesses. So what I realized was that maybe it's not the companies that are trying to market to the baby boomers that we need to be helping. I started to really connect with the baby boomers themselves who are trying to start businesses. And I renamed my business Encore Revolution because I believe we're in the midst of one. It's that large wave of boomers who are starting businesses. They're having that encore moment, and we had come across the term encore careers when we were doing our research. And so baby boomers don't want to retire like the sort of myth, the old conception of retirement, and are really looking at fulfillment and staying engaged and relevant, which I know you guys talk about a lot on this show. So I was finding all that to be true, and what better way to really put my talents and knowledge to use than to really help that segment.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges that business owners are facing today? A lot of it is marketing. You've alluded to changes in marketing strategies, different things work now, the things that worked before don't work now. But what is the biggest challenge that business owners face?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think one of them is if they're starting a business later in life, they're bringing a lot of experience and knowledge from their past jobs, and they may or may not know anything about marketing. So they may or may not know anything about starting a business, for that matter, and may also need to hook up and connect with people that can guide them through doing a business plan and all of that. And obviously marketing is one piece of that. You can start a business, you can open the doors, but you know, they might come and they might not. So I think the biggest challenge in relation to marketing itself is how to attract clients. And today, the old sort of sales pitches don't work anymore. You have to connect with people on an emotional level. And I fell in love with Simon Sinek. Some people may have heard of his TED Talk, but he talks about coming from the why.
Yes.
And so what I've done is I've developed a process. I actually took his course, and I realized that for years I had been telling clients that they need to connect with people on an emotional level. But when they, if they don't, they're starting with, like, everybody talks about what they do, right? We all know what we do.
Yeah.
And he calls it the golden circle. So the outer circle is the what. And then the next step in is the how. And a lot of us know how we do it. That's where people get into their unique selling proposition and, you know, those points that might help to set you apart. But very few people come from why they do it. But that's where the passion lies, and that's where you're going to connect with people on a deeper level. Well, it's also connected to biology, and his connection from the golden circle to how the brain works, the outer part of the brain is called the neocortex, and that's where our rational brain is. It's taking in all the information around us, it's processing sort of all that surface level stuff. The inner part of the brain that connects to that how and the why is called the limbic brain. And that's where your emotions come from. That's where your trust comes from. That's where all of your decision making comes from. But it's not where language comes from. So that lies the challenge. So if you are not coming from that deeper emotional place, you're not really connecting with people on a deeper level. When you do, that's the sweet spot. That's when you develop longer term relationships with customers. They're more loyal customers. I mean, Simon uses Apple as an example, and we all know people wait in line for the next greatest
right.
Apple product.
Absolutely.
You know, and so it has nothing really to do with Apple. It's well, it does and it doesn't. It's because they come from their why all the time. Mm-hmm. Their why is about being different. They always have been. They've always gone against the status quo when they first introduced their products. It was always kind of, you know, unique and different. So the people that are waiting in line for those Apple products are those early adopters. They believe in themselves as being different, going against the status quo, being innovative, all of that. So that's why Apple is so successful, because people align with what Apple stands for. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you think of it in terms of a small business, it's the same thing. It's just, you know, scale it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's about looking at, what do you stand for? Why would customers want to come to you versus somebody else? And you can't do it in an inauthentic way. It has to be authentic to what your business is about and what you stand for. So I use a process that helps you to get to that core, as I call it, and I sort of associate core and why being the same thing. But it's really about getting to that inner part of who you are and your passion.
That's
well, I know that you're talking about the challenges that people have. Mm-hmm. What kind of advice do you give to clients to how to market their business?
I think the biggest thing is that they have to be, aside from going within and figuring out their passion and purpose and all the excited energy that they still have around their business, is to be very customer focused. I think people forget about what the benefit is to the customer. And if they don't think about that, if they don't make that connection between their passion and why somebody needs you, then you kind of, you have a gap and you miss the opportunity to really, again, develop that stronger relationship with the client. And I think people forget about that all the time. I use an exercise called the So What exercise, and there's a book out there called So What, and it really is about identifying the difference between features and benefits. And so many people fall into the trap of just talking about the features, and those are being, again, that's the rational stuff. It's like why people need you. Okay, I need flowers, or I need a table. You know, those are sort of the rational things. Yep. Why do you need that particular table from that particular furniture place? You know, you might want to go there because they have particular furniture that reminds you of your childhood. I don't know. You know, they may be selling furniture in a way that their customer service is great, so you kind of connect with them on that level. So it really could be a service business or a product-oriented business. It doesn't really matter. It really is about, what is the customer experience? What is the customer looking for? You have to be solving a problem for them. You have to be treating them well in a customer service related way, especially today. So many things are online and press 1, press 2, like you're never able to talk to a person. No. So the more you can reconnect with people on that emotional level and position your business in a way that shows them the benefits that you provide, that's the key. People forget about that. I still run into so many people, and clients have a hard time sort of grasping that. Like, well, I have a perfectly good table. Why can't I just sell my table? Well, if you don't go beyond that level, people looking for a table you're gonna be in competition with any place looking for a table. And of course, I'm just using a table as an example here, but
right,
but you know, it really
is a commodity.
It becomes a commodity. So unless you break through that clutter in a more interesting way, then you're going to miss the opportunity, and you're not going to get as many clients as you want.
The question that keeps going through my mind as you're talking about this and how marketing has evolved is, why has it changed? like that? Why now do people want to connect so much more emotionally with a product than, I don't know, in the 50s or 60s when it was fine to have a TV ad that addressed millions of people and they thought that was effective?
I think there's a few things that are related to that. I think, I know I've read some information that Dr. Brene Brown has put out about connection and humans. Humans crave connection. And I think in the busy world that we're in, that we're bombarded with messages, brands, things to do. Our to-do list keeps growing and growing. And I think that having that breath of fresh air, that space where someone is actually connecting with you because they care about you or care about your needs, is what helps people to stand apart. Now, back in the 50s and 60s, think about it, that's really when TV was coming into its own. Things were new then, you know, like things were different. Food products were becoming more packaged and convenience foods and things like that. There were so many new things as the baby boomers were children. It was really, even the baby boomers set the stage for being the first generation that was marketed to as children. Right. You know, it was a whole new market. So I think because things were new and different then, it was different. You know, nobody knew about sales pitches then until television came to be. Now we're so bombarded with it, I think it has to change and evolve in order to really connect with people. And as I said, you know, Brene talks about people really crave connection. People crave human connection. And I think with technology and everything else that kind of causes us to get separated, we're really looking for those things. So when you can hit that, that's when it works for you.
Yeah, I think technology has really changed that quite a bit. Because it is so easy to disconnect from the rest of the world. Right. And so people do crave that connection to stand out. You're absolutely right. You need to make that connection. Does that make sense?
She recently went to and spoke at SCORE, with SCORE.
I attended a SCORE event just last week, and it was called Entrepreneurs, it was like Entrepreneurs After 50. And I went because, well, someone told me about it, and I thought, well, it might be an opportunity for me to connect with people and open up some opportunities for speaking. But I just wanted to also see how well attended it was. And the room was full. So
Amazing.
They, in fact, were bringing
With any particular age? Was it all?
It was all over 50.
Oh.
And it was a wide range of people. Most people, I think he did a show of hands. I wasn't the speaker, but I was listening. And he did a show of hands to see who already had businesses started and how many were in transition. And most of them already, like, at least had an idea on what they wanted to do. His whole topic, it was very fascinating. He kind of just did a very broad overview of what it's like to start a business after the age of 50. Anything from your energy level to understanding what kind of business entity you need to become, financials, and also he touched on marketing. So I was just fascinated by the broad spectrum of people in the room and all of those interested in starting businesses if they hadn't already. And the speaker himself was one that started a business after 50 and a very successful one. So I think for those of us that get nervous and question ourselves and do I really have what it takes to start a new business, you know, seeking out people that can give you that support. SCORE is a great organization. They have a lot of advisors and counselors and things, and I'm hoping to have the opportunity to teach a class specifically on marketing for that organization. And then there are other resources too, like Cape Cod Community College has what they're calling the Center for Corporate and Professional Education. I'm actually doing a talk coming up in April for that. And they really are trying to provide a whole wealth of classes, anything from social media to WordPress and, you know, all kinds of technology classes, as well as other ones for motivation and personal growth.
All that being
That's
said, what do
excellent.
you think about retirement?
I think, for me personally, I think that it's very different than what I might have thought years ago. I think I want to have the flexibility to do some things, fun things that are on my, I guess, my bucket list, if you want to call it that, or just some of those goals. But I'm seeing that not only for myself, I definitely want to stay engaged and relevant. I don't really see myself completely kicking back and not doing anything. I just don't see it. And I think that's partially the boomer mindset as well, that I just had a conversation with a relative in Florida who went to Florida thinking she wanted to retire. She had been an accountant, and she, a lot of people say, you know, about a year it's good, like they like kicking back, not doing a whole lot, but then they're bored and they don't want to just not do anything.
Yeah.
And so she realized she wasn't ready to retire. She was bored. She wanted to do something. And she actually sold a property while she was in Florida. And that opened up a whole new opportunity for her. She now manages an over 55 park that has manufactured homes, and she takes care of all the real estate there and loves it. She loves it. And you know, it just keeps her involved and engaged. And I think that really is, we're going to see more and more of that. That if it's not about working and being fulfilled in that way, there are a large number of baby boomers also starting nonprofits because they're passionate about a cause and want to give back.
Yeah, I heard that.
You know, when we were doing the research, it is the largest segment that also is philanthropic. But the other trend is that they don't just want to donate money, they want to get involved and they want to do something about it. So.
That's excellent. Well, it's time for our Two Grannies on the Road trip. We visited Hanson, Massachusetts so that we could find out more about Laura's town. Take a look.
We're here at the Old Hitching Post restaurant and bar in Hanson, Massachusetts with Andrea, who is the owner and going to tell us a lot about the history of this beautiful old building.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to visit. So the restaurant is an old 1810 farmhouse, and it's had many additions throughout the years. Parts have just been added on and it just keeps extending. We're in our tavern side right now, which we've recently done over a few years ago. We have a lot of nice food here. Comfort food is what we focus on. A lot of seafood, fresh seafood we bring in daily. We make some Greek specialties. My grandmother helps cook in the kitchen. She makes spinach pies, some moussaka, pasticcio, and my husband does a lot of the cooking too.
So what do people ask for the most as far as meals?
So we probably make almost one turkey a day. We sell roast turkey, homemade stuffing, homemade gravy, mashed potatoes, veggies. We do a lot of that. Seafood, haddock is our #1 seller. Yeah.
I think the waitress was also talking about your salmon.
Oh, salmon. Salmon sells a lot. Yeah, we do that with some roast potatoes and asparagus. It's really good. And
all right, we're going to have to cut this short pretty soon because I need to eat something.
I'm hungry too, actually.
So thank you so much. This is it's a beautiful little restaurant.
Thank you.
And I would encourage people to come here
Thank
now.
you. Yeah, my husband and I took over about 3 years ago. We bought it from my dad. So little by little, we've just been adding on. We have live music in the tavern on Fridays and Saturdays.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's a fun place.
Oh, we'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Two Grannies' second road trip.
Tell us what you got for dinner, Ginny.
I'm having the beef stroganoff with short ribs. Sounds delicious.
Hi, how are you?
I haven't tasted it yet, though.
We're done with
What are you having, Beth?
I'm having the Greek style scallops with feta cheese, tomatoes, and spinach. I'm so hungry, I gotta stop filming and eat. We're here with Josh Cutler. He is a partner with Coletta and Cutler law firm, and he's also the state rep for the Hanson area. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
What other towns do you represent? Is it just Hanson?
So I represent Hanson, Pembroke, and Duxbury.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about Hanson, the history, when it was
Sure. So Hanson's great because it's right in the heart, I would call it, of Plymouth County, right in the center of Plymouth County, and it still has sort of the old time charm. It's still a kind of a rural community. It has you can still see the roots of farming industry and cranberry industry here in Hanson, which is kind of neat. There's great places to walk and ponds and wildlife, and so it still has all that rural character. And yet we're very close to, we have a train station. You can take a train into Boston. Very close to get to Boston or Brockton or wherever you are, Plymouth. So it's very accessible, right in the center of the county. So it's it's a great little tight-knit community, and I really enjoy working here and also representing it in the legislature. To answer your question, there's about 10,000. I think it's just over 10,000 is the population of Hanson. So
Okay.
we're growing, but still small.
Yeah. What year was it incorporated? Do you know?
So it was settled in around 1630, but it wasn't incorporated until much later, to the 19th century. I think it was 1820. So it's actually was part of Pembroke for a long time, which is interesting because I also represent the town of Pembroke.
Yes.
So Hanson was part of, I think it was Western Pembroke, and then eventually it was its own community and was founded. Actually, there's an interesting story. It's named Hanson after a gentleman named Alexander Conte Hanson, who was a newspaper publisher in Pennsylvania. And apparently the story goes that he must have published something that angered folks because a mob came to his office and tried to burn the place down. And so he was a bit of a rabble-rouser, which is kind of funny because Hanson's more of a quieter community, but that's what they named the town after him. So it's kind of cool.
He was their hero, or?
I don't know how that newspaper publisher from Pembroke, from Pennsylvania, got to be the name of the town here in Hanson, but it somehow ended up this way, and hey, it's a good story.
That's interesting.
Right.
How long has Hanson had a joint high school with Whitman?
So yeah, we share Whitman, our neighbors in Whitman, Whitman-Hanson Regional High School. It's a great school. In fact, the Whitman-Hanson High School, which is right on the line, on the Whitman-Hanson line, it's actually technically in Whitman, was first built, it became a model, literally a model school for the state, which they use now in other areas of the state when they're building new high schools. They actually they have Whitman-Hanson as one of the models, so it's kind of cool. You can go to other parts of the state and see schools that look just like Whitman-Hanson, and it's because they use Whitman-Hanson as a model, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's been, originally, it's been, the current school was built about, I want to say about 10 years ago, all from scratch, and then previous Whitman-Hanson High School was right on the same footprint, the same location, just a bit different spot before that. So it goes back quite a while.
Quite a way.
Two communities have been intertwined, so kids go to school and they go through to school here in Hanson for elementary and middle school, and then they go to the regional school for high school, and it's a nice way of connecting two different communities. And
Well, that's all the time we have, Laura. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
If you or someone you know is a baby boomer who is retreading, we would love to talk to them. You can contact us at TwoGranniesOnTheRoad.com.
What are your goals and dreams?
We want to encourage you to think outside the box
Step out of your comfort zone.
and take action to achieve those dreams.
Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to watch for the next episode of
Two Grannies on the Road.